Good morning. Oh, it is early and cold, and I'm doing it. I'm doing the walk. Gotta move my body. And I wanted to share something because, if you haven't seen very many of my videos, you know that one of the things I do is I listen to a lot of YouTube. It's like one of my things that helps me with my mental health because I listen to positive stuff. That way the automatic negative stuff isn't just running the show, the ants, the automatic negative thoughts, right? So the one that I like to listen to in the evening before bed is Eckhart Tolle. So I might be saying his name, Eckhart Tolle. There's been discussion about the right way to say his name. Anyways, I listen to him before I go to sleep because he's a little bit more soothing. I listen to Abraham Hicks more like during the day. And last night, the video I listened to was overcoming suffering. And I wanted to talk about that because what he said on his video was so similar to a different practice, which I do, called Existential Kink. So that practice, you can Google that. There's a book by the same name. It's a really good practice. It's something that I'll be teaching on Sunday at the class, if it happens, and if it doesn't happen, then I'm still grateful that I've done the work. But so what he said was basically, if you are in any situation, if you could change your feeling about it, one way to do it is to think that you've chosen it. So if you're in a situation that you don't like, a lot of times that's because you're powerless to change it. You can't do anything about it. It's harder when we're like, oh, this is happening to me and I don't like it and I don't know, I don't have any way to get out of it. Like, that's probably the least powerful position to be in. And then suffering, it's like constantly going over in your mind, what's so bad about this? What's so hard about this? Why isn't this working out for me? Why is this happening to me? It's a constant mental masturbation, what I call mental masturbation of like, why is it shitty? And that's really easy to get into, and that's where a lot of those automatic negative thoughts come in. So you have to find ways to work with your mind to change your thinking. And that's where what Eckhart Tolle was saying comes in. It's like, okay, what if something horrible is happening? You could be suffering through it, or you could change your perception and say, well, I'm choosing this. And how much would your mood or your attitude change if you're like, oh, every single thing that's happening to me, I've chosen it? It's like, it makes it very different. So like, the thing that I'm going through with my hip, it's getting better. And the conscious part of me wants to be suffering and complaining. But you know what? What if I change it and say, oh, I chose this. On some level, I chose this. And I have given my permission. It takes away the whole energy suck, the whole energy leak of the suffering, the whole energy leak of the victimhood. It takes that all off. And it's hard. Now, if you are going through something traumatic or you're having like PTSD, like, there's reasons why this wouldn't work, but let's just say that's not the case, okay? And you're going through something hard, it's like, okay, how can you have chosen it? And there's even things that are traumatic that I've gone through that I have worked through and used these techniques on, and it works, because the more I am at choice and at cause, the more sovereignty and the more power I have in the present moment. So, and that's Eckhart Tolle's big book, is The Power of Now. We're all wanting the power in the present moment. So that's Eckhart Tolle. Now, with a law of attraction, I mostly am watching Abraham Hicks on YouTube, and I'm not going to say I'm an aficionado, but I will say, like, I think I get it. And I used to think it was super woo-woo. I did not believe, I did not think, I just thought it was something that some people did to make themselves feel better. And this is the thing, is that even if that's what it is, so what? Like, it makes you feel better, so do it. And then the more I started doing it, then things started to change. So this is what I mean by working with your mind. With law of attraction, she talks about, with the Abraham Hicks, she talks about being grateful for contrast. So contrast is another way of saying, things aren't going your way. Contrast, I always say, contrast brings clarity. So if something's happening that you don't like it, you're getting clarity of what you would like. If something, and you wouldn't have that clarity without the contrast. So, back to my example with my hip, I had the contrast of not being able to use it. I got really clear on my willingness to exercise and my willingness to lose weight. And then as the pain got worse, just this past flare-up when I went to Mexico, I got clear. That contrast gave me clarity that I was willing to go see a doctor, and that I was willing to go try a new form of therapy. And I never would have gotten that clarity without that contrast. So when things are happening that you don't like, then, once you work through whatever emotions you have to work through, maybe disappointment, frustration, anger, all those kinds of feelings, then, can you be grateful for it? Can you look on the other side of it, any way, shape, or form? Can you see where this could help someone else? One thing that was really top of mind back when I was in 12-step work was that I would feel like, well, maybe the only reason I'm going through this today is so I can help someone else in the future. And you know what? That needs to be good enough. So if you can assign any powerful meaning, any helpful meaning to it, then that's a huge help. And that way you can stop resisting. And it's that resistance that is a huge energy suck. So this is all about plugging up the energy leaks and letting go of the things that are leaking off your energy. Okay. And then the last thing I want to talk about was existential kink. And the reason is because it takes it one step further. Now, existential kink is something I've been practicing pretty heavily this past year, but I had known about it for years. And basically, you work with your mind, you take your situation that you don't like, and you find that part of you that is getting some satisfaction out of it. Even though consciously you may not be in approval, and you may be like, oh, I would never choose this. Unconsciously, subconsciously, some part of you, maybe it's not even unconscious, maybe it doesn't take you very long to figure out what it is. So, and I'll tell you mine in a minute. So I will tell you something that's been a huge revelation for me, and it is pretty personal. So if you've made it this far in the video, this is your reward. So I can't believe I'm putting this out there, because you're all gonna know my soft underbelly. I mean, I talk about it to people in person, but I don't think I've said anything about it on the internet. You know, when you're doing these things and journaling and evaluating and trying to see what it is that you get out of something, there's different practices that you can use to do that. And so, like, that's what I'm planning on teaching on the 26th, is the practice I use for that. And, you know, I went through a big breakup. I had a lot of other crap go down last year. And once I was not, like, completely emotional wreck over it, I was doing this work, and I realized I have a big kink around rejection. I do. I have a real big kink around rejection. And the reason I say that is because, so the thing with the existential kink, which harkens back to Eckhart Tolle, is the idea that if something is here, like the law of attraction says, you know, where attention goes, energy flows. Everything you have here is because you want it. Like, okay, so if I'm getting rejected, that must mean that I want it. Some part of me wants it, whether that's conscious or unconscious. And so here's this rejection from this woman or that group of friends, or, you know, if I put an event into the world and no one buys a ticket, then it's like, oh, that little rejection kink gets, that little rejection button gets touched and pressed. And then I get to feel all those feelings that come with being rejected. And it's like, wow, can I actually feel the sensation of being rejected? It's like, what does that actually feel like in my body? And there's that sickly sweet feeling of, like, when you get your heart bruised, or any kind of a bruise, right? A bruise has like this edge before it hurts. Like, if you touch it, it's like as it starts to hurt. And then of course there's definitely, you know, pleasure and relief when you stop touching it. So I feel like I have a little bit of a bruise like that on my heart. And so when I get the rejection, or I put myself out there and things don't go the way I want them to, then it's like, okay, well, if I feel like I chose this, or I manifested this, or it's happening, that means I want it, then, like, what am I getting out of it? It's like I'm getting that little edge of pleasure. I'm getting that fulfillment of what, you know, whatever it is, that part of me that still thinks I'm not good enough is getting to be right. And it's like, whew, man. And that's like the shadow work, you know, that's all those little parts of yourself that you normally do not want to give any voice to, because it's like, especially in our, like, self-esteem culture and the feel good no matter what, it's like, oh, I'm not good enough. That doesn't feel good. But if you really think that you're not good enough, then you're going to keep finding ways to manifest that you're not good enough, and to show you that you're not good enough, if that is the thought. So whatever is showing up in your life is a reflection of your vibration, your thoughts, your true desires. And so it's like you have to suss out what is going on. So, you know, right now my life is like really good. I've had a string of really good days this week. Yeah, there's been some challenges and struggles, and I screwed up and turned in an assignment late for the first time. I was very upset about that. That was like a whole nother issue came up with that. But overall, every day it's been really good. So I'm wondering, so I have this event that I dreamed up and had a desire and created and posted all over, and I'm talking about it, and it's like, ooh, no one's bought a ticket. Okay, that's fine. Why? What, you know, what am I, where's my part? Where's my energy around that? And it's like, oh, I'm getting my little rejection kink tickled there. You know, oh, nobody wants to pay me, nobody wants to work with me, poor me, and that kind of thing. And it's like, oh, okay, this is showing me somehow I still have those kind of thoughts. And I know I'm not responsible for anyone else, but I just think that I've just seen it on the quantum field and in magic and all this shit, that, you know, when things are in alignment, when everything is lined up, then it happens, it works. And when it's not, it doesn't. So, you know, what can I do? I can like notice it and be like, oh, I chose this. I chose it. I did choose it. I chose to put my baby out in the world, you know, my event, and know that maybe no one would sign up, and then I would have to deal with that. And dealing with that is something that has stopped me from putting out a lot of freaking events. I'll tell you what, just being worried about going through that. Now I'm realizing, like, I've accepted that I might face rejection, and that I might find a way to actually enjoy the rejection. And therefore, I could go ahead and put this event out in the world and get that little kinky rejection itch scratched. So yeah, that's what I wanted to share about, rather than having put it out and be like, why? Blah, 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 all the negative shit. I don't even want to say it again, because it's actually not what's going through my mind. It starts to, but then I work with my mind in the ways that I've said. I start feeling good, feeling satisfied, feeling with a higher vibration, all the magical things that have happened this week and in my life in general. I realize however it happens is how it's supposed to happen. It's not up to me alone. It's something we all co-create. And, you know, who knows? Who knows? So, okay. I hope this video is helpful. I super appreciate your eyeballs, and make it a sexy day. If I could get it turned off. I don't know.